Florida at Alabama. Marco, what should bettors be looking at?
Well, the hunter becomes the hunted in this game. Alabama is the favorite in this series for the first time since 1992. It's been all Florida. So will Alabama be able to handle that, carrying, again, using a horse phrase, the extra weight, so to speak, as they put on a horse? Alabama had a big test last week, and I think that close call is going to be the difference that got this team that wake-up call and being in a tight ball game moving forward to Florida this week.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying that being in a tight ball game is going to give Alabama an advantage. What exactly is going to be the reaction to Alabama? If they would have blown out Arkansas 30-0, you think they would have taken Florida lightly? Or I don't get what you're saying.
You get a false sense of security when everything goes well. Okay, when you have to work hard to obtain something, I always feel it's much better than when something comes to you easily. And I use that in my handicapping. And last week, Alabama should have lost at Arkansas. The game, the way it played out, Arkansas did everything to beat Alabama last week.
So you're saying there's two ways to look at it. One is it could be a chink in their confidence, or two, it could be, hey, we maybe did some stuff that took things for granted. We gotta refocus our efforts.
When you have the close scare, a good program, which obviously being the number one ranked team in the country, defending national champs, when you have that type of scare, it's like a huge wake-up call. The coaching staff can use it to, push you a little harder in practice during the week. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw this opening number come out, this line opened at 9. Now it's come down to 7.5, which is what I expected it to do, because I saw 9 and I said, they're absolutely begging you to take Florida. I mean, when was the last time you saw an Urban Meyer team, Florida, Utah, anywhere, getting 9 points?
And again, clearly the Sharps are on the Florida side, but 9 and 8 are not key numbers in college football. You're still getting over a touchdown right now with Florida. All right, so good point. Point one is Alabama's close call against Arkansas is going to cause a focus. Advantage Alabama. What else?
Alabama last week, they had a little bit of problems with the Arkansas offense, which really was the first real offense that they faced this year. Because if you remember, they played a couple patsies, and then they had Penn State. And a lot of people would say, well, Penn State's, a top 25 team, but Penn State kind of went into Alabama one-dimensional. They were bringing first road game for a freshman quarterback, and Joe Paterno, that's one of the rare times that he's actually started a freshman at QB. So they kept the offense pretty vanilla. They had their good test last week. Now they play a Florida team that I think actually, offensively wise to what they saw in Arkansas last week, they're stepping a step backwards. I think the Arkansas offense is more diverse than Florida at this point.
All right, so you hit it with a couple points, but I'm not hearing what the key handicapping factor here is. So I got the first one. What was the second one?
Alabama facing a better offense last week is going to help them this week. They will be able to stop the Florida running game. And once they stop the Florida running game without having the passing threat that Arkansas had last week with Mallett, Florida's going to be in trouble. If they get too many third and longs, which I think they're going to happen, they've got a quarterback. Remember, last year there was a guy named Tim Tebow in the Florida backfield last year.
Which I tend to agree with that, and I think it brings up a good point, which is that Saban is a defensive guy, and his defenses are hyper complex for the college game. And against a young quarterback, it's the old Belichick thing in the NFL, is you get a new, inexperienced quarterback, Belichick's going to trick you once or twice. And, Big Ben had troubles again early in his career against New England's defense. I think with Saban, you get the same thing. So I would agree with you there. Here's the thing that makes me kind of lean Florida here. One is Florida is 23-6 ATS. Now, remember, whenever people hear stats, sometimes their eyes start to glaze over. 23-6, that's a massive win percentage. That's not 55% or 60%. This is a massive win percentage against winning teams. So when they are, and again, like you said, they haven't been dogs like this. It's been very rare since Meyer's been there. But they've played their best against the best teams. Now they're playing the number one team in the country. And a subset of that is Meyer's 8-1-1 ATS against top 5 teams. These are the best teams in the country. So this is a program that's going to be, certainly won't be overwhelmed by the game itself. Number 2, I believe the back door is wide open, though I do agree with you that the quarterback's inexperience is a limitation for Florida. But you can't forget the athletes on this Florida team. They might not be experienced, but they got some of the best athletes in the country. A punt return, late touchdown. I mean, literally, Alabama could be up 14 points with 2 minutes left. If Florida has the ball, you probably still have a 35% chance to win the game if you're taking Florida plus 7.5. So to me, the back door is open. Thoughts?
I agree with you with what you're saying there, and I'm going to add another reason why I like Alabama. But with that back door can work both 2 ways too. If they're in a position where they're down 2 scores and they've got to throw on every down, Saban with that defense can just throw the kitchen sink at this young quarterback.
But any team down 14, is going to be one-dimensional late in the game. The whole idea of the back door is who's going to have the better chance of scoring those spots.
Going back to both of these coaches, and we're handicapping it that Alabama's going to be the team in front in the game.
If not, it's easy to take the 7.5.
But Saban is a coach that has shown time and time again that he doesn't take the foot off the gas, and he's not opposed to running up a score. So that is a point to consider. The final thing that I'm going to do, and I will do this type of handicap, I'll use it as an angle. You'll hear it over and over again during the season. I call it the teaser handicap. If you sit here and apply the teaser to this game, if you tease Alabama down to -0.5, just pick the winner. That looks good, but if you put enough people in a room, there's people that believe that Florida can pull the upset here because it's Florida and they're a winning program. But take the teaser the other direction and take Florida to plus 14.5. That almost looks like a mortal lock because most people just don't see this Florida team getting blown out. And it's with that kind of thinking, what the opening number came out at 9, all of that added together, the close score last week, which I think is going to be a benefit for Alabama. I'm making Alabama my best bet, and I have Alabama winning 28-13. And if you disagree, you're welcome to bet a nickel here.
Well, first off, what you do is you have one best bet on the videos each week, and we've done 4 weeks of videos before this one. And what's your record?
Perfect 4-0, sir.
All right, and you're locked in. So, I got to be honest. I'm not crazy about either side. I like getting points with these athletes. I agree with you. The lines maker is making you want to take the points with Florida. I think that it's rare to say that a dog over a touchdown is going to be the public side. I'm not so sure if at sportsbookspy.com, where they actually have the number of bets on each team, I'm not so sure Florida's not going to be over 50% on game day, especially if it stays above a touchdown. All right, now it's your turn to continue the conversation in the comments section with Marco and me. And next up, we're going to be talking Stanford at Oregon.